everybody, Sentai 5 here, and welcome to my Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always review. I can't believe we're here, we finally made it to the other side, and it's time to talk about this. I don't even know how I'm going to structure this review, because I have a lot to say, good and bad. This is the first time since like Dino Charge Season 1 that I've thoroughly enjoyed something Power Rangers in terms of a TV show. But this special was definitely special to me. I actually had the opportunity to watch it early over the weekend, so I'm really grateful for that. And I really enjoyed it the first time, and then having watched it a second time and then quite a few more times again all morning long really just reaffirmed my love for it. And pretty much the brand as well. You know, outside of the comics and then the toy line, there really wasn't much for me to latch onto in recent years for Power Rangers, but this special basically reignited that. And overall, I think it was just pretty well done, except for a few complaints that I have for myself. And I'll get into that a little bit into the video. But I genuinely think that this is something worth watching if you're a fan of any age, and whether you're also a long-time or newcomer as well, or someone who fell off years ago, or just you watch casually. I think they found a way to really get everybody together for this. And in the end, it still leaves a lot to be desired, and in a pretty good way too, you know. I think this is a pretty good direction in what they're doing for these specials and reunions for the older casts, and if we make a lot of noise about it, then we'll get more of them. But yeah, enough of my initial thoughts, let's talk more about the actual special itself in more detail. Just a quick warning, and this should be very obvious, that this video contains spoilers, so if you haven't seen Once and Always, then go see it first and then come back. Unless you want to be spoiled, then that's fine. So the special begins with a title screen, similar to how both the 95 movie and Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, started off with their screen crawls, basically just describing their basic overall plot to the Power Rangers, and this one was no different. And I'm gonna read the title. The title reads, "One fateful day in 1993, the evil sorceress Rita Repulsa escaped her space dumpster prison and attacked Earth. 5 teenagers with attitude had their lives changed forever when Zordon chose them to defend the planet. In the decades since, many more heroes have continued their legacy. The people of Earth rest easy, knowing their home is protected by the Power Rangers." And then we immediately open up the scene with Billy beaten up on the ground on the sea cliff with Robo Rita taunting him, and then he just morphs into the Blue Ranger. And he briefly fights Robo Rita and the putties until the Rangers teleport in to help him out. And we just get this amazing shot of all 6 original Mighty Morphin Rangers running with an explosion behind them. It's so cool. And together they fight Rita and her putties until Billy elbows Robo Rita in the face, damaging it, and then she gets really angry and tries to do this finishing attack on him, but Trini jumps in the way and takes the blast, and she gets vaporized. It's actually really messed up, because they have her spinning in slow motion for a few seconds, and then this huge blast occurs with like nothing left, and then Zach and Billy take their helmets off, and they just look over the cliff, with the other Rangers slowly joining them in shock. Then we cut to Trini's house, where Zach and Billy are having a pretty intense argument on how to tell her daughter Min that her mother died. And it's actually a really, really well done scene. Zach doesn't want to tell her the truth that her mother and all of them were Power Rangers, but Billy wants to, and Zach tries to hit him with Zordon's rules, and Billy quickly says rules can be broken sometimes, and that Zordon, if you were here, will understand that. Then Min walks in on them in the conversation right from school and just has a huge shock. We then cut to 1 year later, which would be 2023, since it's confirmed that Trini dies in 2022. Min is off training for a little bit, and it's the 1 year anniversary of Trini's death. You know, Zach takes her to the cemetery to meet up with the other Rangers, who have already engaged in combat with Robo Rita, this time with Robo Snizzard and Robo Minotaur. Zach quickly morphs and joins them, tells Min to stay behind the Rad Bug, and at this point, when she sees Robo Rita, she's really pissed off, because obviously she wants to get revenge on her, and this is going to be one of the biggest central themes, central plots to this anniversary special. And during this fight, the Rangers aren't doing too well. Jason gets caught up by Snizzard's bite and injects some kind of venom that paralyzes him, and he gets turned into a Lightning Collection figure. Then it happens to Tommy next, and then Kimberly. I also forgot to mention earlier on in the very first scene where the Rangers fight Robo-Rita for the very first time, they use voice clips of the actors to make the illusion that they're in the suit. And I really appreciated that, because I'd rather have that than, you know, someone who doesn't even sound remotely like them dub over them. It's just kind of weird and corny to me. With the exception of Jason, I don't think they used any of Austin St. John's voice clips. It sounded like somebody else actually voiced over him. I'm not too sure what happened with that. But getting back on track to the story, Rita and her goons really mess up the Rangers, and Zach and Billy are left. And they take off with Min in the Rad Bug too. We go back to Trini's house, and Zach and Billy are trying to figure out a plan on how to get the other Rangers back. And Min steps in saying that she wants to help, but they tell her to slow her roll. But in a very, very tense scene that gives pretty good conflict to Billy that we see later on, she says that her mother would still be alive if it weren't for Billy. And we find out later on why. It's actually kind of crazy. I actually really like this. Back on Rita's Moon Palace, she needs to capture more Rangers and drain their energy to power up her time machine. And in order to do so, she decides to bait them out with putty attacks all over the world, pretty much. But it's mostly Angel Grove that it's focused on. And in doing so, will help Minotaur and Snizzard track down the Rangers via their morphing energies, because Minotaur has a tracker inside of his shield. We then go to Cranston Tech, which is a rebuilt command center, and below it, kind of like the Batcave, is the actual command center rebuilt. And they are scanning for signs of Rita and everybody else, with Billy obviously affected by Min's words towards him and saying that she was right. And then we get a incredible flashback to one of my favorite scenes in the entire special, which is how Robo-Rita even came to be. It turns out Billy has been trying to resurrect Zordon by collecting his particles from scattered from all over the universe, and just when he thinks he's doing it, the tube turns purple, and on it has a quick slash across it, kind of like how Andros did in Countdown to Destruction. That dark energy comes out and overtakes Alpha 8 and turns him into Robo-Rita. It's such an incredible scene, and that leads into the original opening scene of the special. We flash forward into present day, and the scanners show some putty attacks all over Angel Grove, and Alpha 9 is instructed to initiate the Bandora Protocol, where all Rangers from all over the place, all over the universe pretty much, because some Rangers that are part of this protocol, and they've been training for a year for this very day to happen. So Kat teleports in first, who originally was at her son JJ's karate camp, and shortly after Rocky teleports in too, who is now a firefighter on his lunch break, who doesn't get to eat lunch at all because of what's going on all over the world. Billy explains the others have been captured, including Tommy, and obviously this gets to Kat, and Zach consoles her real quick. It's a very quick scene, but you can see how much he cares and everything. It was really nice and subtle. Back at Min's house, she's angrily training because she knows she can help them, but nobody wants her help. And she gets an alert from Buzz Blast, in a live feed at the youth center, where it's getting attacked by putties, and she heads over there and takes her mother's morpher to obviously help out. Back at the command center, Billy explains that he and Alpha have been creating proxy power coins in case of an emergency like this, which requires dino powers to be used because they expect to use the Megazord. Kat and Rocky obviously join in, especially with Kat, who needs to get Tommy back, obviously. And then the team morphs for the first time together like this, and they teleport into downtown Angel Grove, where they fight off a bunch of putties, fight off against Minotaur and Snizzard, and rescue a bunch of civilians and get them to safety. It's a really cool fight scene, actually. When all said and done, they teleport to the next location and still rescue a bunch of civilians getting attacked by putties and the monsters. And this is where Alpha realizes that they're being tracked by their morphing signatures, So Alpha tells them that they have to demorph and just get out of there, which is what they do after. We go back to the command center again, where the scanners show that Robo-Rita is on the surface of the moon. They then get an incoming message from Adam and Aisha, who are doing a mission for SPA in the Sirius system against the Trubians, and they say that they're on their way back as soon as they can, which is going to take about 6 hours. And they thank Billy for the stealth technology that they're using against the Trubians. I'll be quite honest, it's nice to have both of them in here, but they don't contribute anything to the ongoing plot of the special. They're just there to mainly really establish that the events of SPD are going to take place 2 years from now, in case anybody had any doubts about it. It is a pretty nice reference all in all, though, I'll give it that. It actually leaves me curious to see what's going on over in the Sirius system, because we know that the Trubians destroyed the planet Sirius and possibly rebuilt on the surface, who knows. But like I said, all that is just to lead into the events of Power Rangers SPD, which in the continuity takes place in 2025. Then the command center scanners show that Min is at the youth center trying to fight off the putties, and she's in a lot of trouble. So Zack and Rocky teleport down over there and ensue an awesome unmorphed fight. Like, Walter Jones really he still got it after all these years. From the flip to the kicks and to the hip-hop keto, it's good to see it again. Rocky's also trying his best as well. They all then teleport back to the command center yet again. Billy devises a plan to use his stealth technology that he made for Adam and Aisha so that they can lure out Robo Minotaur and Robo Snizzard. So he, Rocky, and Kat teleport out, and Zack and Min have this very good scene about Zack teaching Min that revenge is not the answer, and the path to being a hero is selfless, all in all. It's such an incredible scene. I mean, it just shows how much Zack has really grown as a character. I mean, he's the same person, but he's just older and wiser. And now the legal guardian, father of a teenage daughter now, who he properly sets on the right path. It's really nice. I really gotta hand it to Walter Jones, because he brought his A game to this special. He really did. He is the highlight of this. And this is literally one of the reasons why. At the junkyard, Billy, Kat, and Rocky set up this magnetic track attached to a crane where it's gonna attract Robo Snizzard and Robo Minotaur so that they don't get in the way from when the Rangers try to do their thing. And it ends up working like a charm. This scene actually really reminded me of like classic Mighty Morphin Season 2, Season 3, and Zeo, where the Rangers and Billy would be coming up with all these devices and plans to lure out monsters, trap them, or, just like figure out the answers to whatever mystery was going on that week. So yeah, it really brought me back, because they all just went into it like no time had passed. And that's pretty central to like how a lot of things are in this special in terms of these characters that we've known our entire lives. They then head back to the command center yet again, and they finally use Billy's stealth technology to turn invisible and sneak onto Rita's moon palace, while Min stays behind, obviously. But she sees that Robo Minotaur and Robo Snizzard are locked up and all that, and now she wants to destroy them now they're in one place. So she sneaks off with another stealth thing that was left behind, and she steals the Morphin and goes off to the junkyard. On her way there, she takes the rad bug, and she runs into and helps out this gay couple who are being attacked by putties. And it's nice to see more representation of the LGBTQ+ community, and I hope that scene was done right by it. Min finally makes it to the junkyard and attempts to morph yet again. This is the second time she's trying to morph. I forgot to mention that she tried to morph at the youth center, but it didn't work, and it doesn't work here again as well. And this time Robo-Rita shows up and just taunts her by mentioning Trini's death. She actually does this quite a lot throughout the special. It's she's not holding back at all, I can say that. She's incredibly disrespectful. This is a more pissed off, non-comedic Rita compared to the one that we always knew. So she captures Min, and they all go back to the Moon Palace. Meanwhile, on the Moon Palace, the Rangers finally get to the captured Rangers and Rita's machine, her time-traveling machine, and they figure out that she's trying to travel back in time to the day, well, literally the day of the dumpster, where she can give herself information of the future to destroy all the Power Rangers from ever existing on Earth. Rita and her monsters arrive with a captured Min, and it's just a fight to save her. And we get a whole mirroring scene of Rita about to vaporize Billy, but Min literally jumps in the way just like Trini did. She hits the wall and falls to the ground, unconscious. They think she's dead, but the yellow power morpher is glowing, and Min wakes up and gets this incredible, beautiful vision of her mom as a Power Ranger, and then she finally morphs with the team, and it's really, really cool to see her take up the mantle as the Yellow Ranger. The team is surrounded by putties and summons their power weapons, in which Kat uses the power bow for the very first time, and it's just such a really awesome fight. I really liked it a lot. Rita, as pissed off as usual, throws Snizzard out of the palace onto the surface of the moon and makes him grow giant. And right after that, Billy stabs Rita right through the chest with his power lance. But she isn't destroyed just yet. He and Min soon summon the dinosaurs from Earth that are just teleported onto the surface of the moon, where they combine and form the new Dino Megazord, which is obviously rendered from the Zord Ascension Project Zords, and they fight Snizzard. Meanwhile, the rest of the team takes out Robo Minotaur. Well, actually, Rocky does, in a very brutal way. Even Kat comments saying that was very hardcore. They then join the others in the Megazord, and they destroy Snizzard together. Then they go back to the Moon Palace, because they see that Robo Rita is still alive and about to go through the time portal, but they are able to stop her. They take the captured Rangers, and Zack delivers the final blow on Robo Rita, destroying her forever. We then head back to the command center again when all said and done. Adam and Aisha have finally made it to Earth, where Alpha reveals that all the captured Rangers are in stable condition and in their med bay on their ship, where they will return to Aquitar for further care. I really like that a lot. Adam even mentions that Billy should come with them because Cestria misses him, but he says he's got some stuff to take care of on Earth first and then he'll catch up. Then everybody leaves and goes back to their normal lives. Just like that. It actually feels very sudden. Back at the youth center, Billy and Min make up, and Zack joins them as well, and they just share their fondest memories of Trini to Min, where she even finds out stuff she never knew about her mom, such as her fear of heights. It's very heartwarming and a pretty fitting end. And that's not it to the episode. It ends off with a clip from, I believe, the Song of Guitardo, where Kimberly sings a song to Tommy called Down the Road, where Zack joins her as well. But this is also meant to be a little sweet memorial to both Twee Trang and Jason David Frank, and it ends off with in loving memory to both of them. At this point, if you're not crying or even tearing up, then I don't know, you probably have no heart at all. And take this from someone who has no heart already. I was in tears quite a few times throughout this special. It really hit me in all the feels. It's crazy. But wait, there's more. The special officially ends with the opening titles, which are played at the very end. And my one nitpick to that is that they used Catherine's Turbo credits instead of her MMPR, because they used it for everybody else. So for some weird reason, she was the odd one out. That really didn't make sense to me. It really irked me. But the opening titles were really well done. I liked how they did the then and now for each of the returning Rangers. But yeah, that's officially the end of Once and Always. I thought it was a very solid special. I did not expect to be liking this as much as I did, but I knew it was going to be at least decent, if not good, from the trailers alone. There seems to be a lot of love and care put into this. We had Ron Wasserman scoring the entire thing, and you can hear some familiar beats of his. Unfortunately, he didn't play any of his famous songs as well for the fights, which I felt could have used it a lot. He also uses the Redux version of the MMPR theme. Honestly, I don't really like that version a lot. I prefer the original. I feel like that sounds a lot better, and it's a lot more hype too. But yeah, continuing my final thoughts on this. You know, this special is about legacy, family, closure, and what it means to be a hero, specifically a Power Ranger. And it's just this huge love letter to longtime fans and casuals, and just people who watched and know MMPR. You know, it's kind of weird because MMPR is like all over the place for the PR brand. It's always like in our faces. So you would think we would be sick of this going in, but they really got us in for this. and what a ride it was. The returning Rangers really just get back into the roles like no time has passed at all. It feels so genuine, so authentic, especially for Zach and Billy. Like I mentioned before, Walter Jones really brought his A game to this. Zach has changed a lot. He's become a congressman since the peace conference, and I really like that a lot because it shows that obviously it influenced him into that career. And also it pretty much unintentionally ties into a story from Go-Go Power Rangers where Zach goes to Washington to help get a bill passed to help Angel Grove after monster attacks. It's most likely unintentional, but it was still a very nice parallel. And like I said before, it's the same old Zach as we always knew from Mighty Morphin, just, he's a lot more mature, and now he's a legal guardian. He gives up his job in Congress to focus on raising Min. I think that's very, very heartwarming for that sacrifice. Never did I think in 100 years that Zach Taylor would be a top TV dad. It's great. And it really, really shows how genuine his relationship, his father-daughter relationship with Min is throughout the special. Moving on to Billy also, he's still got the same personality now. He's just the same person, just a lot more busier because he runs a tech company on Earth, but he still has all these adventures in space and stuff, and is obviously keeping tabs on other Power Rangers as well. I really, really like that a lot. And on top of that, he was unintentionally responsible for the death of Trini because he accidentally created Robo-Rita, and that's a very huge, heavy burden on him throughout the special. It's a very, very good layer to the character, and it brought some good conflict and drama. Really happy and excited that David Yost was able to return, given the terrible circumstances of his departure from the show 27 years ago. I think he really, really did a great job returning from all that time and just getting back into character like nothing. Unfortunately, Rocky and Kat don't have that kind of focus, but they still get stuff to do. Rocky still has the same funny personality, which reminds me of his Zeo days. And Kat is obviously the loving mother of JJ and wife of Tommy, and she is ready to jump into action, no questions asked, because the situation with Robo-Rita is now just as personal to her as it is to Min, since obviously Tommy's been captured. Charlie Kirsch, who plays Min, Treaty's daughter, did a pretty good job playing a teenager with attitude, and as someone worthy of taking on the mantle of the Yellow Ranger, honoring the late Twee Trang. Her acting was a little in a few places, but her energy and just watching her path to becoming a Ranger was more than enough to outweigh it. Hope we get to see her appear in more specials, more content, or even possibly in Cosmic Fury if that was secretly filmed during that time, or in whatever future Power Ranger projects, because there's no way you could set up this character to be a one-off and just not do more with it. The overall plot was pretty good for the most part. I think it might have just dragged a little bit towards the middle with all like the jumping back and forth to the command center, going here and there a lot. I don't know, it just could be me. But also I feel the Robo-Rita plot of wanting her to go back in time wasn't really necessary for this. It feels like a little bit of the pacing kind of went fast a little bit towards the end. And obviously this is due to the time constraints. They only have 55 minutes to tell a whole story. And I absolutely loved her origin story. I thought it was really well done. But she's obviously not the same Rita, original Rita, that we remembered personality-wise, because she is hell-bent on killing the Rangers, and boy does she say it a lot. She's also very, very unhinged, as we've seen throughout the special, and she doesn't really have that balance of comedy that the original had either. It's not really a criticism, it's more of an observation. So yeah, still a pretty good job. The fight scenes for the most part were okay. I think they could have used a little bit more, I don't know, maybe flashiness. I don't know if that's the right word, but some of it kind of looked a little goofy. And don't get me wrong, some of the original Mighty Morphin fights were also pretty goofy as well, so that could have been intentional, but also I haven't really been enjoying a lot of the original fight scenes Power Rangers has been doing in recent years, so it kind of like falls into that. I also wish they used the power weapons during the battle in downtown Angel Grove. That would have been awesome. But don't get me wrong, the entire Moon Palace fight for me was just amazing. But that Megazord fight, no way. I thought that was horrible. And I really wish they were able to just get the suit from Toei and just film something more original with it. But it seems like Hasbro might have mandated them or just told them to use the Zord Ascension Project Zords, which obviously makes sense. They're going to want to sell their product, and there's no better way to do it than the MMPR special. I reached out to Simon Bennett on Twitter as well, and he explained that they sent the production crew designs to make the 3D models of. Also, another nitpick, I wish they used the Power Blaster to destroy what was left of Robo-Rita. That would have been nice. I definitely feel like there's just enough callbacks and references for longtime fans to pick up on. Also, I mentioned before I liked how they used voice clips of Trini, Kimberly, and Tommy for the special. It really, stuff like that really makes it seem like they're actually there when they're really not. And also the actor interactions on screen, this is major. This is the first time we've seen Walter Jones on screen with Steve Cardenas and Karen Ashley, because he left the show before they came onto the show, despite the character still being there to pass on the powers. So that was really nice, and it was nice to see him interact with Catherine Sutherland for the first time on screen. And, the little things really show, especially when she finds out that Tommy is captured. He pats her on the back, trying to, reassure her that we'll get them back and everything. We have the running gag of Rocky never able to eat his food because he has to save the world. There was a standout episode in season 3 where he had this humongous sandwich. He's like, man, I've been waiting all day for this. And then the communicator beeps and you see the expression on his face. He's just all pissed off that he's got to go do this and he can't eat. Not to mention all of Steve Cardenas' facial expressions throughout the special. It's funny. I know it's not really intentional, but I have to mention them. It's also really nice that Rocky is a firefighter. We have Fireman Rocky protecting Angel Grove from fires. It's nice. Zordon is mentioned a few times, as well as his death in Countdown to Destruction, which is pretty much a driving force for Billy's arc in this. I also forgot to mention at the end that Min tells Billy that she saw memories of her mom, and he couldn't believe it, and he was like, the Morphin Grid works in very mysterious ways, so it seems like he might do something like that to find a way to resurrect Zordon, possibly in Cosmic Fury, since David Yost is set to appear in it. So I don't know, that's the route I see them going in. There were times I kind of got a little bit of Saban Brands and Hasbro era vibes in terms of some of the writing. I don't know, some of it felt kind of off, especially with a little bit of the dialogue delivery. Some of it coming from Min, and as well as our veteran Rangers. Especially in the Moon Palace, when they were figuring out Rita's plan, it was like, oh my god, you don't have to be so obvious about it like that and just literally say every single step of the way. Overall, I do like the care and attention the special did, the writers did to the show's universe and continuity. If there's one thing I always say, it's that Power Rangers always knows how to use its greater universe, its expanded universe, whatever you want to call it, its expanded multiverse, to its advantage. And when it does it well, it really does it well, and here's where they did it very well. And it needs to be celebrated because it was the first live-action superhero show really doing it out there. Years before all these CW and MCU shows came along, and it just never gets that kind of respect. But yeah, so my final remarks. This is Power Rangers for literally everyone. I think if you're a fan of Power Rangers, whether it's a huge fan or just a casual, you need to watch this. I don't know how else to really say it. It hit all the right points, all the high points. Even with some of the lows that I felt about it, it still did a lot of things right, and I think that should be celebrated for this. Especially for a brand that has been thriving for 3 decades. I think it deserves that celebration. I've been a lifelong PR fan since birth. I was born 2 months before it, and I literally grew up with it my entire life. And it's really nice to see something like this come to full circle and just seeing the impact of its legacy on multiple generations. I personally wouldn't even be a fan if it weren't for my brother and my cousin, who were the target audience at the time when Mighty Morphin aired. This special really just made me feel very proud and grateful to be a PR fan. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, please watch it on Netflix. The views definitely matter, because if this does well, they could do a lot more. And obviously Netflix can give more money for the production to do better things as well. If you have seen it already, let me know what you think in the comments below. I can't stress this enough. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video as much as possible. This is one video on this channel that I really want to do well, so I need all your help, please. And also link me all your reviews and reaction videos as well. I want to see them. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and be well, stay safe, may the power protect you all. I will see you all next time.